What's up, people? I am back for another video. I was gonna do this video yesterday, but I couldn't, so I'm gonna do this one today. And then, pure luck, I'll do on Thursday. That'll be my Thursday review, and then we'll do the craft next week. Or maybe this weekend. I might just do that like on Sunday, maybe. But today, we're gonna be reviewing Gladiator 2. And I know it's technically going to be 6 days before it's officially out, but it came out on overseas, so it was already on the seas. And I didn't want to wait till fucking Friday to review it, so I was like, fuck it, we'll just watch it last night. And I will be honest, I will preface this, there was a portion of the movie I did zonk out, so I'm going to have to rely on Wikipedia to kind of bring up my memory, because it just bored me. I think part of it, too, this movie, I'm just going to come out and say it, it's the first one over again. It literally is just the first Gladiator movie, but it's formatted the same way. Lucius gets kidnapped, you know, his family, instead of family, his wife, it's just his wife, gets killed, he gets taken as a slave, he has to fight his way out, he gets bought, and then he eventually becomes the champion, and then the only difference is he doesn't die, and he's not related to the emperors. Hold on, let me look up the names, because it's Joseph Quinn is Emperor Geta, and then Emperor Caracalla, who they're basically just communists, but really bad. They even have the moment where they do the thumbs up, thumbs down. It's just, and then you get to the point where, like in the first one, where Maximus refuses to kill the guy, you have that scene again in this. The whole thing with him and his mom is Lucilla basically is the one who exiled him for his safety, and basically now he resents her. And Paul Mescal is not good. I'm sorry. I don't know why you went with him as your Lucius. There was no, like, Russell Crowe as Maximus, like, he really exuded confidence, and he had his own kind of charisma. Paul didn't. And as much as I fucking hate Pedro, when you're out fucking acted by Pedro, who basically is kind of essentially is like his mentor, who kind of he kind of only works for the he's a benevolent he's an antagonist, but he eventually turns on the emperors. Like, but I would have, as much as I don't like Pedro, he would have been better off making him Lucius. As much as I don't fucking like Pedro, I think he would have made more sense. Because at least he was a better actor. And I'll just come out and say it, and I guess they said this in trailers. Lucius is Maximus's son. So basically, Maximus cheated on his wife. Good job. Let's besmirch and destroy the legacy of Maximus. And also, all the work he did in the end of the first one doesn't fucking matter. Because this is kind of like, in a way, now that I think about it, it's like Force Awakens. Everything resets. The emperors take over. People are enslaved again. It's just reset. They don't even explain it. I was trying to talk to this with my friends on a Discord, and I'll admit, I badly explained the movie, because now that it's kind of all coming back to me now, or some of it's coming back to me, that they don't even explain, like, why they're emperors again. It's just set 16 years after the original. And Denzel's character, Macrinus, he basically wants to control Rome for his own motives, because the emperors basically, I think they killed his mom, and he earned his freedom. And I like Denzel. I love Denzel. We all love Denzel. But I'm sorry, man. I can't. In this movie, I feel like he was kind of phoning it in. I think there were some scenes he kind of hits, like where it feels like he's trying to be of that time. But then there are scenes where he delivers dialogue that he's from the fucking, like he's fucking Alonzo from fucking Training Day. Like, it's like, that's why I was kind of thinking he's kind of phoning it in. And I was thinking he was going to be like the bad guy, the secret bad guy. He's like, I'm gonna make you my champion. The way even the trailers made it seem like that. No, he was the good guy all along. And essentially, Lucius becomes king. And okay, so the movie starts where the Roman army, led by Marcus, which that's Pedro's character, invades the city. His wife gets killed, and he gets taken into slavery because he loses the fight. Which I'll admit, some of the battles look good, I guess, and the effects are okay, but they're just clearly. Ridley Scott needs to retire, and that's going to be the title of this video. Ridley Scott needs to fucking retire. Just stop. You're just ruining the legacy of your own fucking movies. This is, and I used the word window dressing yesterday. This movie's kind of window dressing. The original felt like you're in Roman times. You felt like if it was a period piece where you felt like you're in that time. This one isn't. It's window dressing in the sense of it aesthetically looks like it, but I never once felt like I was immersed in the world. Not at all. I like Joseph Quinn. You know, he's the guy who played Eddie in Stranger Things Season 4. But it's like in this, he was so over the top. Him and his brother. And the fact that they were basically just Wish.com communists just really hampered the movie for me. Couldn't take him seriously, and maybe if that's supposedly the point, even then, no. The fact you don't really explain why we're just that's why this almost isn't a sequel. I was kind of saying when I was talking about this with my friends, this really does feel like a reboot. It really feels like it's almost a subtle reboot of the original because it plays out the same. It's formatted the same. The only difference is Lucius doesn't die in the end. And then the entire town coups and the emperors get killed. But aside from that, it plays out pretty much the same. You know, especially when he gets brought up, you know, like in the original, he becomes a champion and he has these different battles. It's kind of the only difference is he doesn't have the mask, and then he has the stuff with his mom. So he gets trained because there's a scene with killer monkeys, which one of the things Ridley Scott ironically was trying to sell the movie off of. And the kills, I guess, there were some points where it was alright. They didn't hold back on the violence, but I just couldn't get into it. This movie was not needed. Gladiator is a nice one-off story, but Ridley Scott felt like we needed to wedge this in there because he's on, I don't know, what is this, like some midlife crisis? I don't know if that's what he is, if he's on or something. I don't know, because it's this and what he's doing with Alien, and it seems like he's gonna now do another fucking Alien movie, and it's just like, really, stop fucking with your legacy, bro. Just stop. No more. I don't understand. And now, I was even hearing he's potentially doing a Gladiator 3, and the way this ends, theoretically, they could set up a third one. And obviously, there's a scene where Lucilla reconciles with Lucius, and obviously, she even gives him, like, the ring, like, from Maximus, and obviously, she's the one who reveals, which I was even saying before the movie came out, that she's gonna be the one to tell him that she is Maximus, that he is Maximus's son, which is just, that's just, no. So he cheats on his wife, essentially, and, because Maximus' son in the movie, the original, is around the same age as Lucius in the original, so it's so fucking bad. I don't know why they would do that. And also, all of Maximus's work and his whole sacrifice in the original doesn't matter because we're just reset back to default. We have emperors again. And granted, Lucilla and Marcus, which is Pedro's character, want to do a coup on the emperors. And then Macrinus is acting like he's working with the emperor, but it turns out he manipulates the brothers to killing each other. And that's when And, yeah, they coup, the emperors get killed, and Lucius basically becomes emperor. And then there's a scene where um, it's clearly supposed to be Maximus, because if you remember the scene with the in the field, like in the original, where he puts his hands, there's a hand that reaches out to him, and that's supposed to be Maximus. They don't say it, but it's clearly supposed to, and it's bad, bro. This movie just did not need to be made. It had some cool battles, I guess, but it did not need to be made. It's retarded. I think it's very boring too. It's just that the middle portion, I just checked out at the point. If your movie to me just becomes white noise, that's when it's not good. I admit there was a point I just flat out checked out. I kind of came back towards the end, obviously, but I don't know why Ridley made this movie. I really don't understand why Ridley Scott made this fucking film. This was not needed. The score wasn't even that good, and that's the fucking sad thing too, because the original had a great score, and this one didn't even have that, and the pacing is terrible. This movie's like 2 hours and 12 minutes, at least the one I watched. I'm assuming in the theater it's gonna be much longer. It's probably gonna be closer to like 2.5 hours, but no, this one doesn't justify the length. Connie Nielsen, I don't even really think was that good in it. Pedro was okay. And yeah, I just did not care for this movie. And Paul Mescal was so bad as an actor in this. Like, the way he delivered lines, the way he played it, I think you would have been better off, as much as I don't like Pedro, you would have been better off making him that character. He just didn't fit. The way he just didn't carry himself. You know what it reminded me of? It was like Independence Day 2. The actor who played Will Smith's son from the first movie. It's that. They clearly wanted Will Smith, but they couldn't, so they had his son be that spot, and it just didn't work. It's the same thing here. That actor was pretty bad in that movie too, so it's the same kind of deal. He just did not hit every time he delivered a line, especially the scenes where he's trying to give like a speech. Like, compared to like when Maximus is giving his speeches in the first movie, in the original. It doesn't hit here. Every time he tries to give a speech, I'm just like, this is cringe. You're not fucking Russell Crowe. Stop it. Oh man, this movie's bad. I would give this movie like a 3.5 out of 10. Especially the fact it just does not need to exist. And Ridley Scott, stop it. Stop it. Just stop it. Or at least do something like The Last Night, where at least that's an original story somewhat. It's not based off one of his old IPs that he's done or anything like that. At least that's something. If he's going to make movies, do that. But I will still title the video, he needs to retire. At least retire from like his own stuff. Stop touching Alien. Definitely do not go back to Gladiator, which I unfortunately think he will, because the way this ends, it could easily do a sequel. And it's just, no. Gladiator didn't even need a second one, and so there's no, why do a third one? That's even worse. Oh man, at that point, that's a parody. Like, this is like the equivalent when you hear Gladiator 2, like, is that a parody? Is like a Spaceballs parody joke? No, it actually happened. And then now it's gonna be even worse if you try to do a third movie. Man, I don't. This is pathetic. And and even like he did recently. I can't think of the movie he did recently. Hold on, let me look it up because it's on my fucking mind now. Napoleon, it came to me. Napoleon. I didn't see it, but even that apparently was really bad. So, but at least, like, so no more biopics, really. If you're gonna fucking do movies, just do original stuff like that Last Night. I've not seen it, so I can't really give my take on that movie, but at least that's something that's not based off something he's done already. but stop touching your original stuff because you just keep ruining it. This isn't as bad as Joker 2 because Gladiator 2 isn't ruined. I don't necessarily think this ruins the first one. It's not even like the Star Wars sequels where this ruins the first one. I think part of it is because this shouldn't even exist. So I can almost really just like pigeonhole it and be like, you know what? It's not fucking canon anyway. So there is that part. But yeah, the fact that Ridley Scott really did this is just, I personally think he just needs to retire. Just stop. Like, you're on this midlife crisis right now. Just go into retirement. Enjoy your money. Enjoy the residuals from Alien, Gladiator, all the actual great films you've done. But now this just huffing your own farts and this weird pretentious midlife crisis he's having right now just needs to stop because it's affecting Gladiator. Now the fact that he's even potentially I don't know if he's actually intending to, but even as just a thought, the fact doing a Gladiator 3 even as a thought is just like, no, shouldn't even have a second one. The fucking fact that you want to even as a thought even do a third one is laughable. So anyway, let's get into this. I just don't understand really why this happened. I kind of do. Ridley Scott, like I said, has been on this weird midlife crisis lately. So anyway, let's get into Gladiator 2. Tomorrow, I'll be reviewing Under the Red Hood. Can't wait to talk about that. I'm actually game to watch that again, even though I watched it a couple weeks ago. That is one of my favorite Batman movies. It's probably my favorite Batman movie. Like, if we're just going overall, even if you combine this live action and the animated, Under the Red Hood is just so good. So I can't wait to talk about that tomorrow. But yeah. So the movie starts. Lucius is married to his wife. Erisad, that's her name, but she might as well not have a name because she's only in this, like, opening. Like, that's the other problem. There are moments they want to rush things like that. Because in the original, they kind of they introduce you to Maximus, obviously, in the opening battle where he's a conquering hero. And then he gets home and you actually get to know his family for a little bit before they die. In this, you don't even, like, within, like, the first, I think this whole opening action scene is maybe, like, 20 minutes, maybe? So, like, close to, like, that 20-minute mark, I think, is where she dies. So, it's like, she might as well not even have a name. The battle, I guess, was alright as a battle, but it just doesn't hit, man. I think it's one of those things. It's where it's hollow. It may look kind of pretty. Because I'll admit, effects-wise, especially compared to something like, obviously, what I just reviewed, Red 1, the effects are far better. And you can at least tell, you can kind of see where the budget went, at least in this kind of case. At least, I guess I can say somewhat of a positive. That's one of them. You can at least tell you could kind of tell where the budget went, at least. It's not one of those cases like, where the fuck did the budget go? But it's just hollow, though, at the same time, because none of the action scenes matter. Like, the action scenes weren't, like, I almost feel like yeah, it's a Gladiator movie, so there's going to be action scenes, but I almost feel like that's not what the movie was. It was a character film. Not just with Commodus, even his dad, Marcus, in the beginning, or Marcus Aurelius, in the beginning, and then Maximus. And then even, that's the other problem I think this film doesn't have. There were kind of side characters in the original. A lot of those other gladiators that Maximus was with, they were kind of characters that you liked and rooted for. It wasn't just like Maximus by himself. He had like, you know, and then the black dude, but also the other gladiators in general. When they would go into battle, they were almost like a whole unit in a way, like a mini ensemble cast. Obviously, it was still mainly about Maximus, but they also still felt like a little ensemble cast. There was none of that in this movie. It was just Lucius, and I think that's what hurt it too, because Paul Mescal just wasn't a good enough actor. If you're gonna do something like that, at least he needs to be a good enough actor to where he's compelling, where you can kind of live with, like, okay, I'm fine with him carrying the movie. You didn't have that in this. The only kind of side character, and I don't really see him as a side character. He's kind of the main character, a main part of the story with Macrinus, and then I'm not counting Lucilla really, because that's his mom. And then you got Pedro's character, but that's it. But they're not interesting enough. Like, Pedro could be interesting in a better movie, but I've always said he should have. I was even saying in this video, he should have just been fucking Lucius. I don't know why he just didn't. The age would make more sense too, because if Lucius is gonna be 16 years, I feel like he'd be a bit older. Why not just have it be Pedro, even if he's a bit older? Just, he's a better actor, and he's probably better to carry this movie. As much as I am kind of tired of seeing him and everything, I think this is a case he probably should have been the lead. Because Paul Mescal is just not just he's not compelling. The scenes where he's trying to give a speech, because there was that scene when they started invading, he's trying to give a speech to his troops, and no. And I get it. In the beginning, I'm not really gonna criticize that his troops were just there to die, because that's fine. Because at the end of the day, it was obviously just setting him up, getting captured, and that's how he gets sold into slavery. So as a kid, I guess he was sent to this place because his mom, for some reason, needed to protect him. It was. Let me see if it says it here, because they don't really explain, like. Yeah, like, so I guess protection in the sense of she didn't want him. I don't know if she didn't want him to be a royal. Like, if you know what, if you're gonna do that, that probably would have made sense. Maybe she didn't want him to be in power, but in a way, I guess I don't know. But they didn't explain shit. Like, obviously, just everything's reset. Um, so he becomes a slave. So we kind of jump. And this is where we get the scene, kind of like in the first one, where he shows his skill, and that's how Macrinus buys him and wants to get him, because they test his skills, and you have to survive the baboons, which were okay. There was a scene with this part of the movie where this dude just stood there and just let one of them kill him, and it's not even like a situation where he like accepted his fate or something like that, or if it was, they didn't show it well, because it came off like he just stood there and just let himself get killed. It's like he didn't move, and there wasn't he didn't make a face or like a gesture like he's, I'm accepting my fate. There's a way you could do that at showcase, even if he doesn't say it. In this, he just stands there and just gets killed. Like, oh, okay. And but that's when Macrinus buys him, and his assistant starts training him as a gladiator, and he wants to get revenge against Marcus. I guess Achaeus is his last name, and And that's when we meet Geta and Carousel, Caracalla. Like I said, they're just budget Commodus, because Commodus is a bad guy and he's very evil, but he also had a character. In this, it's like mustache twirling kind of villain shit. Like there's no reason really they're bad. You don't know how they got into power. Um, and that's where I think this is where we get our first Gladiator battle, and Lucius successfully kills their champion. And that's when and then kind of like in the first Gladiator, where you have the moment he meets the Emperor. And while this is happening, secretly, I guess this is where the point of the film, this is where I zonked out, I think, in terms of just mentally, where I guess at this point, Marcus and Lucilla plan to overthrow the emperors because they want to restore Rome to its former state, which it already was by the end of the first one, but it just doesn't matter. It's like literally the sequels, the Star Wars sequels. You know, they defeat the Empire and all. No, they're just back now. It's the same thing. No explanation, really. And then this is where we get the naval shark battle, which the trailer made it seem like it's going to be this epic battle. It didn't even really last that long. And it, I guess, looked kind of cool, but it was just, you could just tell it was almost Ridley Scott just, I'm going to say it, wanking himself. It really felt like that. He was jerking himself off. Just like, this is going to be so cool. This is a kid playing with toys. There's inherently, I know a lot of people say that as a bad thing. I don't inherently think that's a bad thing. Because, you know, I as a kid played with toys and made my own scenarios up. But I also think you got to have an element of creativity to do that. And I think Ridley here just doesn't. Because, yeah, he wins the battle, whatever. And then this is where his mom tries to reconnect with him, but he doesn't want her around, because obviously he's still mad about him, you know, her basically abandoning him. Or at least that's how he sees it. And then she wants to free her son. And then, so this is where the emperors basically learn of their plan. I guess someone told them. Okay, it says on here, one of her assistants. Yeah. And then that's when the emperors basically, like I said, the emperors don't have character. Like, Commodus had a character. He was a very evil guy, but he wasn't just mustache twirling bad guy with no character. He had his own little thing going on. And in this, it's just, these guys are just evil, bad emperors. Evil. Yeah, man. It is such, like, it almost is like ChatGPT in a way of the first movie. It's like a ChatGPT, if you ask ChatGPT to tell you their version of the first Gladiator movie. That's what this would come out as. So they execute a Casey, as that's his name, to die in the Colosseum. And then this is where we get the fight between him and Pedro, and it was, I think as a fight, I guess it was alright, but I just wasn't into it because I didn't care for the story. So if you're not into the story, you can't get into the fight, and it just, so Lucius doesn't want to kill him, and obviously kind of like in the original, because that's all I was thinking. Oh, like in the original where Maximus refuses to kill the guy. They just do that again. It's the same movie. And then the emperors have him killed. This is how Pedro dies. And basically, this is, I think, where we start getting the close to the coup. Macrinus convinces the brothers start convinces the brothers start turning on each other. Um, and Carosella kills Greta. So basically, yeah, like I mean, like none of this matters. You wanted to see Commodus die. You don't care if these guys die. I mean, and not just you don't care, you know they're gonna die. But there's even the part you if you know, because I watch a lot of movies, so there's a way you could kind of tell a certain formula where you know, like certain bad guys, yeah, that he's probably gonna fucking die in the end. But that journey there could still be good enough. This wasn't that, so it was like you know he's gonna die, but you also just don't care if they die. You don't. It's not like you want them to die because they're so evil. It's just like, oh, okay, I'll just wait. And and Luce. This is where Lucilla reconciles with her son. And it's like whatever, and that's the other problem. In a better written movie, you can maybe make us care for that plot, but you just don't. Also, for someone this is supposed to be your mom, even estranged, there's a way there you would have a certain chemistry with your mother, right? Just because that's how it is. So you need to show that in a film. You don't show that at all. I don't feel that chemistry at all with her. That's why I don't know who to blame because I think Paul Mescal in general is bad. So I almost feel like you could blame him because I think Connie Nielsen is a good actress and she was good in this. You know, and I thought she was pretty good in the first Wonder Woman movie. So it's not like she's a bad actress. It's just maybe partially she didn't have anything to work with because Paul Mescal is just a bad actor. And apparently, I looked into it. I guess he did a lot of indie movies because I've never seen him in anything else. So this is why I get it. You want to build breakout stars, but this is a case where I think you gotta at least he needs to have some. He didn't have anything in his repertoire that I'm like he should be in this movie. And it shows because he's just not a good fucking actor. He's just not. It and yeah, that's where we get, and she gives him Maximus's ring. It's just like we're supposed to care because they were not father and son in the original movie. They clearly weren't. And I've talked about like how it kind of destroys Maximus's legacy. They already kind of did that anyway with him. Basically, all his whole sacrifice in the end of that movie doesn't matter. But so he's also a fucking cheater too, who cheated on his wife. I guess had a bastard son essentially. Bravo. I like the Creed movies. That's like the only time I was like, okay, I can kind of accept that plot. It doesn't work here because he was not Maximus's son, and that's when we get the scene where Macrinus reveals his real intentions, that he was a slave and he wants to overthrow the emperors for revenge, essentially. And this is where we get the revolt scene. Everybody turns on the emperors and the army. Oh, I guess I didn't see this scene, or I didn't remember it. I guess he actually wears Maximus's armor. I'm like, member berries, remember this? Oh my god. And yeah, so Lucius kills Carosella to become the emperor. And then, well, I guess before he dies, yeah, Um, Macron. Okay, actually, no, I'm wrong. I guess he was a bad guy because it's saying here he ends up killing him in the end. Um, so, it, so there was a swerve for no reason, and yeah, he gives some shitty speech in the end, and then yeah, he has a scene in the end where it's kind of like similar to when Maximus was in the fields, and I guess his father grabs his hand. Or we're supposed to think it's Maximus's hand. They don't say it, but it's supposed to allude to him calling to his father. So, it's bad. This one's bad, y'all. I don't recommend seeing this one at all. This one shouldn't even fucking exist. Ridley Scott, just stop, man. Just stop. Actually, I might even, instead of saying please retire, I might just say just stop. Because it just needs to stop, bro. I don't understand why this is even being made, man. This got made. I can at least respect that. At least I can see where the money went in terms of the budget, in terms of the effects and all that. But it's not a good movie. The acting is bad. Even Denzel Washington, I felt like at times was phoning it in. The times where I felt like he was switching between like trying to sound authentic, but then also sound like he was sound like he's Alonzo from Training Day. It's Connie Nielsen not being good. The main actor is terrible. Pedro's character is kind of pointless, and the fact he wears Maximus's armor is fucking wild. I don't know. It's boring as fuck. It's just a really bad version of the first movie, in a way. Even especially the way he comes up as a gladiator, it's the same fucking formula. I don't understand why this was made. I'm gonna keep saying that in this video. Why the fuck was this made? And the fact that it does kind of leave it open for them to do a third one worries me even more, because now it's just gonna be the meme is gonna go worse. Because in my mind, when I hear a Gladiator 2, I think that should be a joke. That should be like a parody movie, not an actual movie. But here we are. And it's gonna be even worse when they're potentially gonna do a third one, and then also potentially go back and ruin Alien again too. Oh man, this one doesn't ruin the first one, because this one shouldn't even exist, so I can, compartmentalize it in a way and just act like it doesn't exist. Compared to like Joker 2. But this still is a bad fucking movie and is a waste of time. Don't watch it. Gladiator is a one-off film, and it always will be. And the less you could say about the Emperor characters, the better, because they're literally just Wish.com comedists, but without like understanding what made him a good villain. Instead of we're just gonna make him a generic mustache twirly bad guys. That's it. Just it. And Denzel, you could have done better as a bad guy. And the fact that I forgot he was kind of a bad guy in the end really shows you how bad this movie is. That I didn't even remember. I thought he stayed good in the end. Yeah, this movie is hot garbage. It didn't piss me off fully. I mean, I guess it pisses me off that it exists, but I'm not as it doesn't insult me like, let's say, Joker 2 did, but it's still really bad, and I don't understand why this was made. And, yeah. At least, thankfully, because it came out overseas, I got to watch it and knock it out the fucking way and didn't have to watch it, later this week. So, there's at least that. But I can only say so much. The score is not even memorable. When the score in the original, which is pretty sure was Hans Zimmer, and then the score in this, if it is Hans Zimmer and this time again, that's bad, because I didn't even the score is not even memorable. The world doesn't feel lived in compared to the first one. I said it earlier. It's window dressing. The original made you feel like you were in that time. You were in ancient Rome. This one didn't. It just had the quote unquote aesthetic of it. It was surface level aesthetic. Like it wasn't like they made you. It didn't. You didn't feel. It didn't feel as lived in, and you didn't feel immersed. I didn't feel immersed at all compared to the original. So yeah, man, this movie is trash. So that's all I can really say. 3.5 out of 10. I'm gonna now forget it existed, and not be that hard because I already I tuned out in the middle anyway. So, but yeah, tomorrow I will be talking about a good movie in Batman Under the Red Hood. That I've always loved that story of Under the Red Hood, and Jensen Ackles as Red Hood is so fucking good. That scene with Bruce in the end, like that whole speech when he's talking to Bruce about what he does and why he does it. Because he took me away from you. When he said that line hit. Not gonna lie, there was a time I watched it and it kind of low-key made me tear up for a second. I was like, God damn, that line hit. And then, probably a really good version of Black Mass, too. Like, yeah, it's a just all-around great story. So, can't wait to watch that tomorrow. Wednesday, I think Wednesday I'll do Pure Luck, and then Thursday we'll do The Craft. And then Friday, Superman 2. So, but anyways, I'm going to get ready to wrap it here. Can't confirm it yet, but I don't think we're streaming on Saturday for Pin Down because unfortunately we got to suffer AEW shitty Full Gear pay-per-view. So I don't think we're going to be streaming Saturday, but we'll keep you tuned. But we should be doing because last Friday was the Mike Tyson fight. We should be doing SmackDown this Friday, and I'm thinking because actually no, never mind. I thought Survivor Series was Friday this week for some reason. I wish it was, but no, it's fucking Full Gear. So, but I think we should be doing SmackDown this week since we didn't do it last week, and because we didn't because Mike Tyson fight, we had to watch that, but we should be doing SmackDown this week, so we should be doing something on Pin Down this week, even if we don't end up streaming. So we'll see. But anyways, guys, link will be in the description. Alright, y'all. Talk to y'all tomorrow for Master of the Phantasm.